boys and girls. It's Mrs. Cutler here with you this evening. We are continuing our read aloud called Among the Impostors, and we are getting really close to the end of the book. We're on chapter 35 tonight, so here we go. The entire dining hall full of boys gasp. "He was hiding in the nurse's office," Mr. Talbot was saying, "and the other one's over in the girls' school. Come on, I don't want to miss my golf game this afternoon." "No!" Jason roared. Even in the chains, he had a commanding presence. The police officer with the chest full of medals turned to look at him with something like respect. "I told you, I'm not an X-nay. I can show you the X-nays." Jason stepped forward, chains rattling. Mr. Talbot reached out to grab his arm, but the officer stopped him. "Maybe he's right," the officer said. "I always love it when they betray each other. And I wouldn't mind getting a bonus for exceeding my quota this month." Mr. Talbot shrugged and he looked at his watch as if that worried him. What worried him was showing up late for his tea time. Jason hobbled slowly across the room until he reached Luke's table. Luke felt faint. Everyone around him seemed to be holding his breath too. Jason pointed. "Him! Antonio Blanco, his real name, but he goes by Samuel Irving. Him, Denton Weathers, alias Travis Spencer. Him, Sherman Kymonsky, alias Ryan Mann. Him, Patrick Carrington, alias Tyrone Jansen." Now Jason pointed to Luke. "And him! I don't know his real name, but he's pretending to be Lee Grant." He turned back to the population police officer beseechingly. "And I know there are more. Just give me some time." Mr. Talbot started laughing. His guffaws rang out in the silent dining hall like bells after a funeral. "Lee Grant, an imposter? Now, that's a good one. I've known Lee since he was a baby. His whole family used to celebrate Christmas with mine back when we lived in the city. Well, come to think of it, I've got one or two of those Christmas pictures in my wallet right now. Want to see them?" Mr. Talbot asked the police officer. He was already pulling the wallet out of his back pocket. "Hey, Lee, good to see you. Come, look. Remember the year your parents made you wear that Santa Claus hat?" Somehow Luke managed to make his legs carry him over to Mr. Talbot. Once before, Mr. Talbot had lied and said that he was a close personal friend of Luke's father's cousin. That was dangerous enough. Mr. Talbot could never back up this lie. But the picture Mr. Talbot thrust at him was crystal clear. There was Mr. Talbot and 3 other adults standing by a fireplace. 2 boys that Luke recognized as Jen's brothers. Mr. Talbot's stepsons sat on the hearth, and there, right between them, was Luke, in a flannel shirt and a Santa hat. Mr. Talbot even flashed the photo in front of Jason's face. "But I know," Jason fumed. I'm sure the others are, I'm positive." Mr. Talbot said. "I bet you just made up those names, trying to save your own skin." Suddenly, Patrick/Tyrone spoke up. "He is, sir. My name is really Robert Jones." "I'm Michael Reichert," Sherman/Ryan added. The other 2 gave different names too, Joel Westing and John Abbott. All 4 boys spoke in calm, even voices. Luke was stunned. What was going on? How could they possibly pull this off? "They're lying! Look at their records!" Jason screamed. "Good idea," Mr. Talbot said. "Is there a teacher or administrator who would be so kind?" At the far table, Luke's history teacher, Mr. Dirk, stood up. "Just give me a minute," he said. Luke wondered how he could have ever found the man intimidating. He scurried out of the room like a mouse. In no time at all, he returned with 4 thick files. He handed them to the police officer. "Mind, please don't let any of the boys see. We like to keep our records private." But everyone was craning his neck, straining to see. Luke had the advantage because he was still standing next to Mr. Talbot. The police officer flipped quickly through the top file. Luke could see Michael written again and again on each page. And in the next file, it was Robert over and over again. "They're fake!" Jason howled. "Ah, how could these be faked? In the 2 minutes we were standing here?" the police officer asked in disgust. He threw the files down on the table and he jerked on Jason's arm. "Come on, out of here. Enough with your lies." "We'd better go make that other pickup quick, Mr. Talbot, here, so he doesn't have to be reimbursed for his green times." But, Jason sputtered all the way out of the dining room. And then he and Mr. Talbot and the population police officer were gone. Chapter 36. Okay, they got Jason out of there. So getting pretty interesting. We've got, let's see, chapter 36. Chapter 38 is the last chapter, and then it gives a short synopsis of what happens next in the third book of the Shadow Children series. Somebody asked me today about these books, and actually this is just the second book in the series of, I believe, 7 books. So this will be great summer reading for you if you want to check out the other books in the series from the library. All right, see you tomorrow at class meeting.